everybody. It's Tuesday. So excited to see you again. And my man Tim Best, he's on the road again. Tim, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Not too bad. All things considering, can't complain, man.
Man, you're just always out. Whoa, little
Yeah,
technical
we got
difficulties there,
took
huh?
a little tumble there. I think my makeshift studio is not working so well.
What a
There we go.
great segue into today's show topic about taking a little tumble. Oh man, good one. That couldn't have
Well,
worked itself out any better.
that was great. It's almost like we planned it.
Anyways, all right. So everybody always sees the Rolexes and the yachts and the Lambos and Ferraris and all the good shit about being a real estate investor. And then my man Tim over here posted a photo of him being covered in drywall dust, and his wife had to come and help him really kind of, put the pieces together. So we wanted to talk, yes, the boat, Christina. So we wanted to talk about the downfalls of being a real estate investor because, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that not everybody sees. You see the front end of the social media side of things. That's like, oh, everything's all great and hunky dory, like no problems. But that's not really the case. And I mean, Tim learned some valuable lessons in this transaction, and we're definitely going to talk about those things because it's something that we had talked about in the past in full transparency. And, it's just kind of come to light. And, everything is good until it's not. And so we're going to talk this week about some things that we learned about losing focus and opportunity cost and heavy rehabs and overall just having to deal with a contractor that, has a really good reputation and then all of a sudden doesn't. There's things can change in an instant. So Tim, why don't you kind of give everybody a little background of what's going on down there for you right now?
Yeah. So hey guys. So yeah, full disclosure, got a couple properties down here. And they're smaller, right? Single family to duplex conversions, which by the way, guys, like don't get me wrong, these types of things can be extremely profitable. Very, very profitable on a dollar invested versus dollar back out. They can be great from a cash flow perspective with the right business plan. They can be really, really good. Um, but what we're kind of talking about here is a little more, like time invested and just call it opportunity cost, right? So one of the things that kind of went south on this, and I say south, everything's going to work out, but it has taken an inordinate amount of time, and we'll talk about that. But basically, like Tim alluded to, got a contract on thing, got a GC that based on all the reviews in the area, all the people we talked to came highly recommended. Know some folks doing exactly what we're doing here, and I've done this a number of times, like back in my flip days. This is what we did: full gut, turn something, flip it out, maybe change use, things like that. So this isn't new, and running across contractors that can kind of flake on you a little bit. That's not new either. New either. So, but in this case, contractor kind of came highly recommended over the course of the last 8 months. Started off really well. Things were going pretty good. And then over the last 6 months, things started to kind of take some turns. And, over time, I kind of noticed things going, little things starting to lag, dates being missed, financials kind of not quite making sense, things like that. So I started to step in about almost 2 months ago now and started to take more and more things over and more things over, which is quite honestly the only thing that's kind of kept this thing going is the fact that I've gotten so heavily involved. So that's kind of where we are at this point.
Yeah, it's like I said, like everything's good until it's not. And sometimes you got to be able to put in the work and do what's necessary in order to get the job done. Besides all of that, like that's, to me, that's kind of an unspoken, that has to happen no matter what. Some people might just pack up their stuff and say, "Yeah, forget it," and get back the keys, and other people will actually roll up their sleeves and get it done. And it was interesting to me because when you hear a lot of people talk about before you pick your partners and before you do, Jesus Christ, already? Come on. Hold on a
Yeah,
second. I don't know what's going on with this. Hold on.
Yeah, Tim's been having a little technical difficulty that we've been trying to work through, guys. Um, but yeah, while he's doing that, so yeah, picking your partners, picking your, the people that you do business with and stuff like that, it's critical. And folks may have seen a post I kind of put about this yesterday, and I actually had an investor of ours reach out and ask, like, "Hey, I saw that app. I saw what happened. Blah blah blah." He's like, "How are you going to keep that from happening again?" It's like, well, in full disclosure, this was the first time we had worked with this contractor, and we did everything we've done in the past. Like, we fully vetted him, asked for references, compared him against others in the area and stuff like that. But at the time, when we started these projects, our normal, we had a bunch of other stuff going on. So our normal contractors were already doing stuff with us or already booked. So, at the same time, you're kind of like, it's always good from time to time to add another tool to the toolbox, right? Another partner that can help you get things done and expand. And so we did everything we do that we would normally do, and looking for a new partner, a new contractor, things like that, that has worked in the past. And we went down the road with this guy. So my answer to that investor was, well, one, we're cutting ties, and then two, rather than expand in this area with a new GC, we're going back to a GC that we have a very good relationship with, that has performed over and over and over for us, and we're going to help him expand into this area. So through this whole process, the silver lining on this was, through this whole process, I've made very, very strong and direct relationships with the subs that have been involved on this project. I've been able to vet who are the really good ones, and we're working with them. The project managers, all those things, the good folks that came out of this. And now we're going back to one of our really, really strong, trusted GC partners, and we're saying, hey, if you're ready to expand in this area, you be the GC, and here's the team on the ground that we can deploy. And that's the way we're going to go about this moving forward.
So all of that's good. And can you hear me now? Good?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. All that's good. But what I really want to talk about, I mean, because our group is mainly focused around commercial assets, whether it's self-storage, mobile home parks, RV parks. I know you and I mainly focus on apartment complexes. So I want to talk about opportunity cost. So what was the opportunity cost of doing this deal over other deals?
So I'm gonna answer that question. I'm just gonna preface it with one thing. So guys, this is a really, really critical point, and it's going to come down to two things that we're able to kind of save the opportunity for us. But I'll start by answering the question. So on this particular property, all in, by the time it's said and done, net profit's going to be somewhere around, let's just say somewhere close to 200,000 for 9 months, for 9 months of ownership. So really, really good, return on investment, quite honestly, right? But the opportunity cost, like Tim is saying, over the last, Tim, 2 months, I have been more and more directly involved in this. The things that I need to be doing for a $7 million project, another $7 million project, a $30 million project. Those things I've had to hand them off. I've had to hand them to Tim and to another partner. I've had to hand those things off. And if I did not have these incredible partnerships of guys that I can trust to say, hey guys, I'm a little out of pocket for the next week or two, you guys take it, and they perform like amazing, then the opportunity cost would have been huge, right? I would not have been able to do a $30 million, a $7 million, another $7 million. I would not have been able to do those. So that $200,000 would have ultimately ended up costing me directly $2.5–3 million. So that's what Tim's talking about with opportunity cost. So Now we're still gonna get there because again, partners make all the difference in the world, guys. But if I didn't have a team around me that, we all trust each other and we can pick each other up from time to time, this could have been extremely expensive and costly. Um,
Yeah, not to mention, not only that, I mean, thanks. I appreciate the kind words. But not to mention like just the stress, like
yeah,
the stress of going through this deal, the loss of sleep potentially, the time dedication that had to be devoted to getting this project across the finish line. Yes, I agree that you can make significant amount of money doing these types of deals, but you have to look at the highest and best use of your time. And if Tim Vest is able to do $30 million transactions, then doing a $500,000 flip deal essentially to make 200 grand is profitable, but it's not the highest and best use of his time. And if you think about, the mindset of and the stress and everything that went into it, it makes it so that everything else almost suffers along the way because you're so dedicated on focusing, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. In this case, this is the squeaky wheel, right?
yeah,
And it's going to, at the end of the day, produce less money in profits over the long run than any of these other deals were. So yeah, having good partners is important, but it's also, kind of realizing this isn't the highest and best use of my time. And now what I'm learning from these transactions is I'm going to move away from doing these things. I'm going to start doing and focusing on these transactions over here that are going to net me significantly more money. And that's not an easy conversation to have because a lot of people are like, if I can make money in this, I'm gonna do it. Right? There's like, if there's profit to be made, I'm gonna do it. But you have to take a step back and say no to something that's going to be far more important to work on rather than dedicating your resources because your time is limited, right? Everyone's got the same 24 hours in a day. What you decide to do on your 24-hour day dictates how much money you could potentially make. Like, look at Jeff Bezos, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, right? He's still got the same 24 hours in a day that you and I have, but he's not focusing on fixing the small problems in shipping and website design. He's focused on working on the business instead of in the business. So
yeah.
it's important to have good partners and it's important to have, people that you can rely on. But when that switch flips and you have to work in the business like you had to do last week, that's when you got to take a step back and be like, oh, wait a second. These Either the systems and processes are not working properly or I need to pivot and do something else because this isn't the best use of my time.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree, and well said, Tim. A lot of things I needed to be doing last Friday. I was on that property from 7:30 in the morning on Friday till 2 a.m., 1:30 in the morning on Saturday, and then I was back there at 8 a.m. And there's a lot of things I needed to be doing for other stuff we got going on, and that was certainly not the best use of my time. Like carrying construction debris out, sweeping floors, mopping floors. I don't mind doing it, guys. Don't get me wrong. This is not about being lazy or not doing something. This is just like, where can you maximize your time? Where can you maximize your earning potential? And then, a lot of us guys, we get in this because, we want to be able to work wherever, whenever we want, right? We want to be able to support our families. We want to be able to do things and then be able to kind of pull back that time, right? Like we want to be able to control our time. And that was a complete I had no control over my time, none that day. That had to be done. I certainly didn't want to be there at 1 a.m. mopping floors, and I certainly didn't want my wife to have to drive down after a long day herself at 5 o'clock and hop in the car for an hour and a half and then spend 7 hours on that property with me. Thank God for her, and thank God she did, because that was a huge help. But that is definitely not a very good use of time, for sure.
Mm-mm. No, but sometimes it takes a monument. It takes an event that hurts so much that you don't really realize it while you're in it until it hurts so bad and you're just like, wait a second, this is really awful. What am I doing here? And sometimes you need that like kick in the pants, if you would, of like, oh, wait a second, like this isn't working. And it's okay, right? Like everything in life is okay as long as you learn from your mistakes and do something about it in order. And what you did is not a mistake by any means, right? But it's
No,
it's kind of causing an audit of time to say, what is my best use of time? And, when you have those moments, it makes you really think about, what do I want to be doing? And what you had said earlier, what is the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing? And this doesn't align with what I'm trying to accomplish. So therefore, let's stop doing this and start doing other things that do align with it. And it's hard to get out of that. It's so easy to be said, right? It's easy to say, oh, I'm going to do this and we're just going to cut ties and move on. And then, people, they like to defer back to what they know. And, that's common in a lot of people. A lot of people that we know, even, like, will end up doing some stuff. It gets really, really hard. And then they go back to something that they defer, that they know, because they're efficient in it. And that might be the best use of their time. So there's no judgment here in anybody, whatever you decide to be doing, whether it's flipping houses or burring stuff, or, doing the small multifamily, whatever works for you is important, right? Like, don't let anybody tell you what the best use of your time is. It's you have to decide what is important to you and what your goals are and what aligns to what your vision is.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. Yeah, and sometimes folks confuse this kind of conversation with, oh, you're just not willing to put in the hard work, and it's actually quite the opposite of that. It's like, I'm willing. The hard work is there. We're willing to put in the hard work. It's where you're willing to work hard, or where
Ooh.
the best, or
Oh,
where the
that's so
best,
well said.
or where the best use of that hard work would be applied, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
so it's the whole. It goes back to the whole who, not how, right? Like
Absolutely.
find people who want to do these things and pay them for it, and then go do the things that return the highest value for your time.
Right.
Because I think you said it at the beginning of the show today. Like, you can't replace time. I can't replace the 20 hours from last week. Like, that's gone. It's lost. You know, and I can't replace that. And every single day that happens, right? We lose time every single day. So being able to maximize, your progress, the things you accomplish during those hours is there's no price to be put on that. So
Yeah. No, I agree. That's so really well said. I love the way that you phrased that, because that kind of hits a little different. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. So nicely done there. Um, so what's next for you, Tim? So everything seems to be going okay now. I know that you're working with a GC, and you got some other projects going on. So what are some things? You obviously learned a lot, and there was a silver lining in this whole transaction. But what are some actionable steps that you're going to do in the future in order to mitigate your risk?
yeah, so we're gonna kind of reevaluate what the team looks like in this area. We got another project that we got to close out here that we're already been underway on a while. So we're gonna figure out how to move forward with that one in the most efficient way possible. Close that one out, um, and then it's going to be 100% focus on these bigger things that we've been working on. The more efficient use of our time, right? And I'm really going to put my head down and focus on the places where I add a lot of value, not just to our partnerships, but also to our investors. Like, one of the places that I add a lot of value to our team, as far as our investors are concerned, is digging up deals, relationships with sellers and brokers and things like that. And then on the ops side, right? Boots on the ground, going to these things and making sure they're operating efficiently and things like that. So really focusing on that, on, like, for instance, the large, 110 unit portfolio that we have out there right now. Like I mentioned, we got a couple of other things underway. One of the properties that we did our show from last week, another big one coming out of Raleigh. I'm going to really, really kind of dial in and focus on those, because, man, those things they're great, they're amazing, and great opportunities for our investors. And I gotta really, really focus on making sure that we do what we say we're going to do on those.
Yeah, and Patrick Francis, he's one of our coaching students, and he had a really good comment about he had the hardest time deflecting responsibilities on others, and I agree with you. Something that we tell everybody is that it's a muscle that you have to exercise on how to delegate tasks. I'm not perfect at it, and if anybody tells you they are perfect at it, or is their best skill set, they're probably lying to you, because they weren't born that way. So it's something that you have to be deliberate on in order to focus your efforts where they should be focused on, right? So Somebody I look up to, Tim Bratz, he makes this really clean, really simple example of how he decided to start hiring people. Is he just like kind of audited his time every 15 minutes for a week. He sat down and he wrote down, what he was doing, and he put a dollar sign or a zero, right? So if it made him money or it didn't, and then he put a smiley face or a frowny face. So if it had a dollar sign and a smiley face, he did it. Anything that had a frowny face and a $0 sign, delegated to other people. And that's a really, really simple way to explain a very complex theory and idea that I love. It's something that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that is gradual. You have to practice it. You have to learn to trust people to do their jobs. You have to enable people to do their jobs. And I don't know about Tim Best over there, but I know that that's something that I learned in my W-2 life, right? I mean, working a W-2 job was not the worst thing that ever happened to me, right? I learned a lot of skills from doing that. I learned how to manage people. I learned how to ask difficult questions. I learned how to delegate tasks. Am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. We're still trying to figure out how to hire people and delegate tasks and get rid of some stuff so that I don't have to sit I'm in this desk all damn day. But it's a really, really useful skill set to have that you have to focus on intently if you want to grow that part of your business for sure.
Yeah, really, really, very, very true. I came out of the corporate world as well. Probably one of the biggest things I learned out of the corporate world was how to delegate. And it's so crazy sometimes. Like, when you're an entrepreneur and you're putting that entrepreneur mindset behind things, I actually find myself sometimes slipping into the I'll just do it mode as an entrepreneur. But in the corporate world, because there were teams, there were resources, things like that, it was much easier to convince yourself that delegation was the right idea. And it worked really well. And that's one of the things the corporate world taught me, like Tim's saying. And that's one of the things Tim and I have actually been talking about a lot lately is like, okay, it's time for this. It's time to start delegating. Like, who can we delegate to? Who do we need to bring in to delegate these things to? So we're starting to apply a little bit of that, like, hey, what we learned over in our W-2s, let's bring not the corporate, not the corporate environment, but let's bring some of those lessons learned in the corporate world into what we're doing here.
Yeah, no, I mean that kind of goes along with this whole topic, right, of this week of like lessons learned. If from transitioning from the W-2 world into the entrepreneurial world, I find myself doing it too. Like it's very easy for me to sit behind this desk and work 10, 12, 16-hour days. Like no problem. I can do it so easily. But that's not why we got into this, right? So it's learning now. I know how to delegate because of my W-2 job, but the new skill set that I'm learning is how to build the team. And yeah, building the team is like this phrase that's thrown around all the time, and everybody says build your strong team and this, that, and the other. And yes, that's true in terms of like operating deals and things like that. But when you want to build the team around yourself to grow your business, that's a whole different like tangent of building a team and learning and exercising and building that muscle. So that is something, we're working on that, and we're taking the lessons learned because, Tim and I were sitting here like, dude, I'm drowning. Right. And in the corporate world, if anybody had said that to me, we were way far behind on hiring somebody. So we both realized that. So we're working on that. And hey, like we're not perfect, but we're realizing things along the way as we go, and we're implementing changes, and we're learning from our mistakes, and we're growing 1% better every day, right? That's all you can ask for at the end of the day is growing 1% better every day. And it's just making a conscious effort to focus on the things that are causing you pain and problems and putting processes and systems or people in place to get it done. Whether it's, for us looking for like an executive assistant or looking for multiple general contractors to do the work on flips. I mean, you can apply that logic against so many different assets or facets of the real estate entrepreneurial world. So don't think that this is just around flipping or just around apartments. This is literally just in business, right? Real estate is the vehicle that we use to make money, right? It doesn't matter if you own a pest control company or you own, an online retail store or whatever you own, like the principles and the concepts are the same, just the vehicle can be different.
Yeah. Well said. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I got to be honest. I think we covered it, man. I'm not sure not sure what else to say other than, if you can avoid breathing in drywall dust and construction dust, I would highly recommend it. I know I spent the last couple of days getting all that stuff out of my lungs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you can find a way to avoid that, I highly recommend it. And this is coming from a guy who actually loves to do that. I love to pick up a hammer and do stuff from time to time.
Not me. Mm-mm. No
No, I
way.
do, I do. But yeah, not at 1 a.m. So
No, 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 no. I agree with you. Especially on a Friday too. Well, cool. Yeah, no, I don't. I definitely don't want to beat a dead horse. A couple announcements. We have officially booked our mastermind event. So Tim and I are going to be doing a mastermind event slash networking event. It will be at the Atlanta Porsche driving experience. So we're going to be driving Porsche 911s on the track. You will get like 4 hours of seat time. We're going to have a couple special guests for some speakers. Pretty much just show up and pay for your hotel that is across the street, and then everything else is paid for. So if you're interested in real estate and race cars, reach out. Happy to share some information with you. I just booked it this morning, so it's official now, and I'm looking forward to promoting that event a little bit and kind of bringing the community together. It will be hosted. I said this at Porsche Driving Experience, which is located in Atlanta. It's very close to Atlanta Airport. So if you're flying in from around the country, make it really easy for you guys to get there. Another housekeeping thing, we have one spot left in our coaching group for August. We only accept 5 people at a time. We've interviewed a lot of different people. We've narrowed it down. We've accepted 4. We have one spot left. So if you're interested in joining our coaching group, reach out to either Tim, Bess, or myself, and we can go over specifics with you, or you can go to our website, mmimf.com, makingmovesandmultifamily.com. We'll have the event up there and all that other kind of good stuff. So if that's of any interest to you at all, reach out. Happy to talk to you about specifics or details or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we're gonna be doing some fun stuff here soon. I'm really excited about this. So yeah.
I'm ready to go down and drive some cars, man. Like I'm looking forward to this. We've been talking about this so long. I'm like, come on, let's go do this.
I know. Hey, man, you know what? I want to show somebody something. There looks like there's 8 people on this right now. I do want to. I want to show you my 2022 goals. So right here, it says host 2 in-person paid-for events by October 31st, 2022. So we didn't exactly meet that goal, but hey, we are really close because I wrote it down and I wanted to make it happen. This was important to me. So I think that, writing down your goals is a really, really important thing to do because it helps you exercise on them. So, another thing on goal writing and manifesting and putting things down on paper. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to end it a little short today. Appreciate everybody and looking to talk to you next week. See you later.